This video will show you how to assemble your laser cut microscope, which you'll then use to do photomicroscopy. The materials you'll need for this project include 23 laser cut microscope pieces, a small Phillips head screwdriver, a hot glue gun, a webcam, and a bunch of hardware including 8 8mm screws, 2 12mm screws, 10 15mm screws, 22 nuts, 6 washers, and 6 wing nuts. First, start with the webcam. Remove the webcam from the bag and unscrew the base. If you flip the camera over, you'll see that there are 2 screws in the back holding on the back panel. Remove those screws to expose the interior circuit board. There are 4 screws on this circuit board. Please remove all 4 of them. Then, remove the circuit board with your hands and carefully unplug the wires connected at the top. Then, using your hands or a screwdriver, remove the exterior black plastic piece that has writing on it. This should result in the lens frame disassembling into 4 pieces. The 2 most important pieces are the 2 small black ones, the lens and the lens focus ring. Our next step is to attach the lens back onto the circuit board. So, using the 2 screws that you removed initially, attach the lens back onto the circuit board and place the focus ring back on the lens. The completed product should look like this. The next step is the assembly of the microscope stage, and that will require 4 laser cut pieces, 2 rings that are smooth and 2 rings that are notched. Using a small amount of glue from the hot glue gun, glue the notched pieces to the tops of the smooth pieces. Be sure to line them up correctly. The cutouts of the notched pieces should line up with the cutouts of the smooth pieces. The next step will require 10 of the laser cut pieces, including the 2 small gears, the 4 large gears, and 4 of these side panels. You'll also need 6 washers, 6 15mm screws, and 6 wing nuts. In each side panel, there are 3 holes for the screws. For 2 of the panels, insert the screws through these holes, ensuring that the finished or the pretty side of the piece is going to be on the outside. Then, on each screw, make sure that you place a washer and then place a gear. The large gear should go on the left and right screws, while the small gear should go on the center screw. Notice that turning one gear also turns the others. Finally, place the other side panel on top of this assembly, inserting the screws into their respective holes and holding it all together by screwing on the wing nuts. The next step requires you to build the frame of the microscope using the pieces you've made so far. Insert the pegs of the stage pieces into the holes in the side pieces. Make sure that the two pieces are properly oriented in relation to one another. The cutouts of the stage pieces should be facing the same direction as the curved indent in the side piece. Finally, to secure the frame, use the hot glue from the hot glue gun to secure the connections between the side pieces and the stage pieces. Put a dot of hot glue on each of the connections to ensure that it's sealing the two pieces properly. The next step will require 3 laser cut pieces, the 2 sawtoothed pieces and the back panel piece. You'll also need hot glue. Insert the pegs of the back panel into the notches in the sawtoothed pieces. Be sure that the notch at the base of the back panel is opposite to the long extended portion of the sawtoothed piece. If you find that the connection is too tight, use a tool such as a screwdriver to widen the notch slightly. Be very careful if you do this, because if you slip, you could poke and possibly injure yourself. Once the pieces fit together snugly, use some hot glue to seal the connection. And when completed, the back panel should be connected to the 2 sawtoothed pieces. Step 9 requires 4 8mm screws, 4 nuts, and some hot glue. In this step, we will carefully use a screw and nut to secure the connections between the back panel and the sawtooth pieces. At the base of the back panel are cutouts that look like little crosses or the letter T. Adjacent to those, on the sawtooth pieces, are holes for screws. Carefully insert the screw into that hole and the nut into the cross-shaped cutout. Feel free to use needle nose pliers if that helps you hold the nut in place. It may take some practice, but once you get the screw to lock in with the nut, then you can tighten it further to secure the connection between the two pieces. Once you finish the first one, repeat this process for the 3 other corners of the back panel. Finally, using a dab of hot glue, secure the screws and nuts that you just inserted. Step 10 requires the disassembled webcam, some hot glue, and 2 laser cut pieces, the top and bottom camera housing. Begin by pulling the lens focus ring off of the lens. Then insert the camera through the opening of the bottom camera housing piece. If you need to, carefully bend the LED lights so that the camera fits through properly. Make sure that the wire of the camera is on the same side as the notch cut out of the bottom camera housing piece. Then take the top camera housing piece and place it over the camera. If needed, bend the LED lights so that they are back in their original position, and then place the lens focus ring back on top of the lens. Finish by flipping over the piece and placing a dab of hot glue on the corners of the circuit board to ensure that it stays connected to the housing pieces. The next step requires the camera housing you just made, 4 15mm screws, as well as 12 nuts, and 1 laser cut piece, the microscope base. The microscope base has a few screw holes in them. Take your 4 screws and insert them into the 4 screw holes in the center of the base, not the ones along the edge. Then once that's complete, add 2 nuts to each screw. Once that's complete, take the camera housing apparatus and place it on those screws. There are 4 holes in the camera housing that the screws should fit through. You may need to push a little bit to get them to snap together. Make sure that the wire from the camera apparatus is facing the same direction as the slot at the back of the base. Once the camera housing apparatus is secured onto the screws of the base, screw in the remaining 4 nuts to secure it firmly. This isn't shown in the video, but feel free to use a few dabs of hot glue to secure the pieces. We're almost done. For step 12, you'll need the camera housing that you just assembled, as well as the apparatus you made earlier consisting of the sawtooth pieces and the back panel. You'll also need 4 8mm screws and 4 nuts. Begin by inserting the pegs of the sawtooth piece into the cutouts of the camera housing. Make sure that the wire goes through the notch on the back panel. Now, just like we did earlier, use the cross-shaped cutouts, screws, and nuts to secure the pieces together. There are 4 connections in total, 2 connecting to the base to the back panel, and then 2 connecting the base to the 2 sawtooth side pieces. Be sure to get them all. For the final step, you will need the microscope frame you built at the beginning, the apparatus that you just completed, as well as 2 12mm screws and 2 nuts. Slide the microscope frame onto the sawtooth pieces so that the gears line up with the sawtoothed edge. Loosen the wing nuts if you need to. Then, insert one of the screws through the slot in the back panel. On the other side, on the microscope stage, there should be another cross-shaped cutout. Insert a nut into this cutout and turn the screw into place. Do so with the second screw and the second slot. Congratulations! Your microscope is complete. You can attach the camera to a computer to take pictures, slide the microscope frame up and down using the gears and the wing nuts, and set different backdrops by placing a photo from your phone on top of the microscope. Now, let's go take some photos!